Okay, we're going to do a quick rebuild of our Fox Float DPS. I won't rebuild the other three just because it's very similar. There are a couple seals that we didn't get out of the others inside this, and I'm going to show that real quick. Inside the shaft, it's very difficult to show on film. It is a small O-ring. I think I've got it. Turns out it's exceedingly difficult to show on film. There it goes. Okay. That little guy was in there. Okay. And that's the seal between the metering rod and the piston shaft. Next, there's actually a seal right here. This goes in this direction. There's a piece of rubber in there. It's hard to see. But that goes in there like that. Okay, so we have to get that rubber out and put a new one in. So it is right here. If it'll focus. Okay, so I'm going to get it just like that. Careful not to scratch the sides of the rod and push it up out. There it is. So this is the very smallest seal in the whole thing. It is referred to as the square cut seal. Rather than an O-ring, it's actually like cookie cutter cut out of a sheet of rubber. So it's not like a rope where an O-ring's round all the way around. This is actually flat and square, so it's called the square cut seal. So that is the little difficult to install seal that we're dealing with. And we'll set that aside. Oops. Right here. Okay. Next, I need to spray these out with some cleaner. So this is spotless, clean. We're going to put in a new square cut seal. So I'm going to get a little bit of slick honey grease on my finger, get the new seal, and just coat it with a thin coat. Then I'm going to slip that brand new square cut in just like that. Okay. And I'm very carefully going to go through the seal with this pick all the way down, nudge the side of it into its gland, verify with one eye that it's where it needs to be, and then just push it home like that. And that is how it's done. So square cut's installed. Perfect. Next I got to spray this out with some cleaner. So this is completely clean. I'm going to get a little slick honey again on our new metering seal. Rest it in there. Take a 2mm, poke it in to the depth that you think where the gland begins. Again, this is virtually impossible to show on film, but you'll need to practice it if you plan to ever do this. This is the thing that a lot of people complain about and claim you can't do, but it obviously just got done in under 30 seconds right before your eyes. All right, so then next, a little thin coat of honey here. Okay. And just carefully wiggle that in into that seal. Boom. All right. That's it. All right. Set that aside. Now we're going to have to reassemble our rebound cam and compression controls. Okay, so anything waterproof. None of this really contacts anything that matters. This is just a matter of you want it to be lubed so it doesn't seize up from mud and rain and crud. So any thick waterproof grease is fine. Fox uses a blue stuff. I forget the name of the brand, but this red military grease works as well. And I like to go ahead and install my blue knob at this point. There's a little dimple for this set screw to line up with. So just make sure they're there. Hold it. Give it a twist. When it gets close, you can go just not quite all the way tight and give it a little wiggle. You can feel if it's in its little round divot. And then just snug it up. You don't gotta King Kong on that bolt, just snug. Okay, all right, next. Our little spring and ball bearing that you were careful not to lose during disassembly. I like to take that, if I can find my tool. There it is. Okay, so I hook that on a pick like this, get a little red grease on it, like that, and then I just put it in the hole. And that gives you a little bit of glue to put your bearing. Okay, so now your ball bearing is just sitting on that spring. Okay, set that down just for a moment. Take a good amount of grease. This is the cam that actually interfaces with your compression rod, and this is the cam that actually interfaces with your rebound. So you can see as you turn it, it changes shape and pushes those rods in different places. So you want to lube that whole thing pretty heavily. Okay. Next, you simply insert that whole thing into here. As long as your lever's in anywhere there, you're fine. You're not going to hurt anything. So just hold that here. Get your set screw again. Whoops. Drop your set screw right in the hole there. 1.5 millimeter wrench. Twist her down. Alright, then tighten it down till it stops. Not really hard, just till it stops. Right there, nothing wants to move really. Okay, then you back it up. Back it up a quarter turn. So hold it right there, and then everything should turn freely. Knob feels good. Wind the knob all the way counterclockwise, the red one, until it stops. Don't force it. Same thing here. That way. Set that aside. Find your eyelet seal. That's this guy. Lightly lube it with some honey. Potato chip it into the gland. It can take a few moments. Get it to go home. There we are. This is our shaft seal. Our piston eyelet seal. And then here we are. Little Allens usually help to guide those home. Okay. So we have this. We're going to place it here. We're going to put a little red on top of that ball bearing right there, and just some right there. Red Loctite on the piston shaft threads. Decent amount, not crazy. Let it chase the threads a little bit. Okay, now that protrusion needs to line up with the rebound cam. So the rebound cam is toward the controls. And since you've twisted this all the way counterclockwise, it's already in the correct position. So I'm going to take this like that, put it in the hole, make sure it can't wiggle, make sure it's in its place, slip that down, and thread in the shaft. Okay, got my shaft threaded. I'm going to take it over to the vise and torque it down at 28, or actually, sorry, 80 inch-pounds, 85 inch-pounds. And I'm going to do that with this device here. That's 80. Alright, so I had that in my shaft clamp with this tool at 90 degrees. Boom. 80 inch-pounds. Alright, so a little bit of Loctite will have pooled up. Just fold a paper towel, stuff it down, and give it a little spin. And you can see a little red mess that you don't want in your shock. Alright, next, put it back in here. It's not a bad idea to test the function of your rebound, so hold an Allen wrench and give that a twist. Your Allen wrench should come up when you twist it one way and back down when you twist the other way. And make sure it stays down. Compression in the open position there. Okay, volume spacer that was in this shock, right here, click. Alright, and then your bottom out plate. A lot of times there's old Loctite encrusted to that, so just make sure it's not going to fall off and cause you an air leak. Clean it off a little. Alright, drop that back on. Brand new bumper from your seal kit. Boom. Okay. Next, our clean bearing. Take this. There's two seals in the kit that are approximately the same size. It's the slightly larger one that you want for this. Alright, so you put that right here. Okay, done. Next, our main shaft seal. It's nice and white. You saw them come out various colors of tan as they had been used and beaten. This is a firm material. It's not like rubber. It's flexible, but it's not rubbery, so it's a little tougher to get in, but you just click it in place. And once it is in place, it gives you a nice audible click, and you're there. All right, so then take this, wiggle it on, like that. Okay. Next, we're going to take our piston, thread it on. Make sure no shims are getting pinched. If you're doing anything strange. This one is 60 inch-pounds. All these torques are published on Fox's website in the service section. Tech help, I believe they call it. Boom, that's 60. Next, we're going to remove this, carefully remove this blue glide band, like that. Oops. Use it in my vise, that little guy. Set that aside, get a fresh one. I like to give it a little lube on the underside just to make it slip on nice. Hold it all in one motion, like that. Alright, and next, our shims that we had set aside connected to that magnet. Put those back home. Nice like that. This little guy I'm going to clean. Okay, and this one gets a very low torque. It's actually 22 inch-pounds. And many wrenches won't go that low. This one does. $22. Okay, so carefully, slowly. $22. Okay. Next, our IFP seal, little slick honey. On you go, boom, okay. Into our clean damper body. We're going to get a little bit of Fox red here and put it on that rubber just to help it slip in like that, okay. And we look up our depth, and to do that, we need to measure our stroke. And we'll measure it in inches, because this is Fox. Alright. We are about 1.75. So we'll look that up on our chart. Alright, and 1.75 stroke shocks of this age are 2.15 depth, so 2.15. Alright, there. IFP is set, 2.15, double check. And perfect, okay. So now we'll take our new nitrogen plug, put it in there. And our screw. Just like that, just snug, doesn't have to be crazy tight. Just snug, boom. Okay. Next, make sure this is nice and clean. Very thin coat of slick honey here just to help it in. Drop that home. And don't push this at an angle. Push right on the bolt and just firm and deliberate. And you can test it real quick if you want. Make sure it doesn't flip right out. If it yanks right out, you push the seal through or cut it. If it feels like it's kind of stuck, then you're good. Okay, just like that. Set that guy aside. All right, our damper body. Make a little bandana for it, like this. Nice and straight. All right. Fox red to the brim. We'll torque this to 28 Newton meters. It's good to get that ready ahead of time. Okay. Now there is that bleed port hole that I've been telling you to be careful about here. What I like to do is just put my finger on that hole, hold this upside down in my right hand, take some Fox red, pour it in the gutter there, in the edge. You want this to fill those holes in that piston. So get it all the way to the top. It's going to be a little bit messy. Don't get any on you. All right, and then pour it in. Give it a spin as you go. And you want to see fluid. Some air bubbles are okay, but mostly fluid spewing out that hole. Okay. And find your hole so you don't crush it with your wrench. 28 newtons, done. There we are. Okay. Drop this ball bearing into the hole to plug it. 2mm Allen wrench for the screw. All right, now all dish style shocks made by Fox. So that means that plate covered, dish means that plate inside on that top hat covers the holes on the piston. All dish style shocks get 500 psi of nitrogen. So we'll get this snug. You don't want to over tighten that thing, you'll rip it out. It just needs to plug that steel bearing into that hole. And actually, it's airtight, so there we are. All right, let's go charge this with nitrogen.